Hey guys, this is Brianna with Brianna's Woodshop, and today I wanted to talk about shop safety, specifically with kids. So the first thing I want to talk about is safety glasses, and the ones that I prefer to use are the ones with these little nose grips because they stay on my face. If you watch when I shake my head, see they don't move, they stay on my face, and they make sure to wrap around my face, because if you have safety glasses and they don't do that, you could easily get like sawdust up underneath or on the sides through there, which then what's the point in having safety glasses if they don't work? So, and I prefer the brand, the Avion SF by Avalex. These are just the ones that I prefer because, like I said before, they make sure to, like, they don't move around on my face and they wrap around. I also have these other ones that I don't use as often just because the sides aren't as comfortable, but I do make sure to have a backup pair in case something happens to these. And then the ones that my dad uses are the more common ones by Bearcat. And these are the ones that he likes to use. They're just kind of plain and simple, and these don't have the nose piece, because if that's something that really bothers you, you really don't need to have that. And you don't really have to have something that's like super common. You can always have a different pair that you like to use better, but these are just our preferences. But you always want to make sure that they wrap around your face no matter what, because like I said before, what's the point in having safety glasses if sawdust and things still get up in your eyes? So that was what I wanted to talk to you guys about, the safety glasses. And then the next thing I want to talk about was hearing. This is really important. You probably won't use these as much, but you always want to make sure to use them in case something is too loud. And this is another thing that I have a certain preference, which is just the kind that go over your ears, and they just block out a bunch of noise. And then other people prefer these ones. I don't use them just because they don't stay in my ears very well and tend to fall out. But there's these that you just stick in your ears, or there's these, but I like the ones that go over my ears. And then next thing is bracelets. Always make sure to take these off, because these little danglies, if they get caught in a tool, that's not coming off, and your hand's probably going to get ripped off of your body, and nobody wants that. So always make sure to take those off. Same with hair. It's always got to be up and back, because all of these little flyaways, they can get caught in tools. Or even if my hair is just down in general, my hair isn't very long, but if I'm leaning over a tool and it all gets caught in there, it's gone. Nothing's saving it. So you always want to make sure that your hair is pulled back and up out of your face so that you don't get anything caught in it. Like your hair doesn't get caught in anything. And then for headbands, like I said before, I like to just make sure that all my wispies are away so that even those don't get ripped out of my head. And then I prefer the thicker ones just because they keep the flyaways down, I think, personally better than the thinner ones. But that's just my preference. And then I'll usually have my hair in braids just because then there's less flyaways. But that's just what I do. You can put your hair in anything really. But just make sure that it stays back and it's not gonna constantly fall out. And I always keep a hair tie on my wrist, so if I forget to do my hair that day and I'm down here, I don't have to run back upstairs and go do that. I can just quickly tie my hair up and I'm done. So there's that. And then same with drawstrings on sweatshirts. If you're leaning over something, same thing with your hair, these can get caught in there and then it's going to pull you and a bunch of things are just going to go wrong. I usually take these and I'll twist them around and I'll put them in knots and I'll do this, and then I stick them in there and I make sure that they stay in there. Or what's probably better is to just pull them out completely, but if you're like me and you really just want them on there, just stick them in there super deep and kind of twist them in there so that they stay. and they're not going to come out. And then another thing with jewelry, rings. This is too big because it's my dad's ring, but for his fingers, it's not going to come off super easily if it got caught on a tool, something sharp. It's just going to rip your skin off and your muscles and everything. It's just, your finger's gone. Nobody wants their finger gone. Just take that stuff off. So I also wanted to talk about respirators, which I typically don't have to use these very often just because we have dust collection and a bunch of stuff like that just to help keep with the dust. But when I do have to use these, I don't like to use the cloth ones just because they make my face hot and I just don't like them. And I like to use these ones just because they don't make my face as hot and I just find them easier to breathe with, if that makes sense. So I will typically use these when I have to use a respirator. And then, so push sticks. Now, we have different ones for different tools, and you really want to use a push stick just to kind of keep your fingers out of the way of spinning blades and sharp tools and things like that. And push sticks are the best option for that, so that you don't have to worry about losing fingers. So this is what we use, is our push sticks. I'm sure there are other options, but push sticks I find are the safest thing. And then sharp tools is another thing. One thing that is really important about using sharp tools are to always have a cap of some sort for any sharp tool so that you don't accidentally cut yourself if you're reaching in a box for something and don't know that it's in there. And for chisels, we have these little nifty caps that just kind of slide on and off of here just so that the blade isn't out and exposed and just makes things easy. This knife that we made we made sure to make a cap for it. So really the main thing is just to make sure that everything it's in its place, I guess, because it always has a cap. So that's with all of the sharp tools. And another thing was hot things. And my braiding iron is one of the hottest things I use on a regular basis. So you always want to make sure that you don't ever leave it unattended when it's on, because it could easily start a fire. And you don't want your house to burn down, or your shop, or wherever you're using it. So just make sure not to leave it unattended. And you always treat it like it's hot as soon as it is plugged in, because it is a very hot tool and it's very dangerous. It can hurt you very bad. And so you just want to make sure that you're really careful around it and not to drop it, because one, if you drop it on your foot or something, that's going to be very painful. And these little chunks that burn the wood are brass, and that's easily dentable, so you don't want to drop it. And one way that we make sure to stay safe with this is we made this just simple little triangle type thing, I guess. And we set it on the table, and then we put the branding iron on it like this while it's heating up. That way we make sure not to set it on plastic, or it could easily melt. And we make sure that it's not on something that it could easily ruin or start a fire with. So that's how we kind of stay safe with this. And I also wanted to talk about making sure that things aren't plugged in. Now this is just an example, but you want to make sure that something isn't plugged in, because one, what's the point in having something plugged in if you're not even using it? And also, if you were to accidentally bump into a tool or something and then it turned on, something could happen. And you just want to make sure that you're being safe and that things aren't plugged in. And the last thing I want to talk about was clothing. Now, for your legs, you always want to make sure that you're wearing something that's easily protective, and jeans are probably the best option because they're not super thin like leggings, so if something were to fall, leggings are just probably going to tear, and that's not going to really be very protective. and you don't want to be wearing like super baggy pants like sweatpants, because those are something that's also going to get easily caught on something. So you just want to make sure that your legs are protected easily. Same thing with shoes. You always want to make sure that they're closed-toed, so that if something were to fall, your feet are easily protected and they're not going to get hurt. And I typically wear just tennis shoes. I mean, you could wear steel toes, but we're not really lifting anything super heavy, and there's really no need for them. So I can usually just get away with regular tennis shoes. And that was it for today's video. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or concerns or just any ideas for upcoming videos, make sure to leave that in the comments below, and have a nice day.